The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. Yeah!
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to go over some things that could make your pool water cloudy and offer you some tips on how to clear it up. At one time or another, you've probably run into a cloudy pool, whether doing pool service or if you're a homeowner with a pool. I'm sure at one time or another your pool has become cloudy, and I'll go over some reasons, some tips to avoid cloudy pool water and ways to reverse it. Leslie's Pool Supplies is a proud partner of the Pool Guy Podcast Show. Leslie's Pool Supplies has been do-it-yourselfers and pool trade professionals' trusted partner since 1963, providing quality products and services to make pool care easy and solutions and expertise to do it right. And this is also podcast episode 300, so I thank you for listening to the podcast. If you've been listening for a while or just started, I've been doing the podcast now this is going into the 4th year of podcasting, and I think that the podcast is a really great medium for getting things out there, so you can actually learn by just listening. And I don't really self-promote myself too much. I don't have a podcast tour, and I don't go around having live shows or anything like that, but my podcast is in the top 30% tile of podcasts based on the amount of downloads and listeners. I know the podcast is listened to, and I hope you find it helpful, the information I give you. I try to just give an informational podcast without a lot of small talk. So if I interview someone, I just cut to the chase and we talk about the product or the service that they offer. So I hope you like that format, and I don't do a lot of self-promoting of myself. At the end and the outro, I do mention the website and my coaching program. Other than that, I don't really promote my sites. I just think the podcast is a great way for me to get information to you in an easy to follow method, which is just listening on your device. With that said, let me just jump right in and talk about cloudy pool water. And there just may be a handful of causes of cloudy pool water out there that you'll run into. And the number one reason why your pool water is cloudy is the very basic and simple reason is that you don't have any chlorine in the pool. And I've been doing service long enough that when I walk back to a service account, I can tell right away what the problem usually is. For instance, if the pool was off all week, I can tell that's why it's cloudy because there's tons of debris on the surface, or I'll see the dust film on the surface and I'll know that something must have happened to the equipment here. The pump hasn't been running all week. I can just deduce that by looking at the pool. As far as cloudy water, if the pool is running, I know for pretty much I can say without a doubt that that reason is because there's no chlorine in the pool. The customer maybe had a pool party or something I didn't put enough chlorine in the week before or something in that regards, and that's why there's no chlorine in there and that's why the water is cloudy. So the chlorine, having a chlorine level of 3 parts per million or a little bit higher, in most cases will prevent cloudy pool water. So you want to make sure you check your chlorine level. That's the first problem that you're going to see as causing the cloudy pool water is having 0 chlorine in the pool. It may take a couple of days for it to turn cloudy with no chlorine in there, but it definitely will get cloudy. You'll see some spot algae forming, and that's pretty much the problem with that is that there's no chlorine in the pool. So the solution is very easy. You'll add chlorine to a shock level if necessary, which I recommend, which is about 10 parts per million. So you might want to use an app online to see how much chlorine to add to your pool so you're not overdosing it. Thepoolcalculator.com is a really good app you can use. It's free. You can use the web version. Just type in your pool size, how many gallons it is, what the chlorine level is at, which would be 0. How much chlorine do you need to add to bring it up to 10 parts per million. What's nice about the app, it gives you the different breakdown of chlorine types. If you're using liquid chlorine or bleach or cal hypo or dichlor, it'll tell you how much to add to the pool to bring the chlorine level up to the shock level. And then if you're using tablets in your pool, you can't just load the tablets in your floater or your chlorinator because they dissolve too slowly. So you can't shock your pool with tablets, in other words. So if you are using the trichlor tablets in your pool and your pool is cloudy, you're going to need some kind of chlorine product, liquid chlorine or cal hypo or dichlor, to actually bring that chlorine level up. And then the tablets will kick in and stabilize the chlorine level, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what generally happens, the first thing I notice is that the pool has no chlorine, making the water cloudy. You can also use the non-chlorine oxidizing kind of shock, but for the price point, you can just use regular chlorine to bring the pool back up and bring the chlorine level back up to the level it needs to be at for the cloudy water to disappear. Another aspect of that is that once you add the chlorine to the pool, you want to run your pool for 24 or 48 hours so that the pool will clear up. If you just run it for 4 or 5 hours, chances are it's not going to clear up. So run the pool a long period of time will definitely help in clearing up that cloudy water. And this leads me into another reason why your pool may be cloudy, and that is the runtime of the pool. If you have a pool with a variable speed pump especially, and you have it set on a really low RPM all day long, the water may get cloudy because it's not circulating quick enough or not moving through the filtration system at a good enough pace to filter out the organics and the other things that are in the water. And so this also may cause your pool water to be cloudy. So I suggest the best way to set up your variable speed pump is to start at a higher RPM and then gradually work your way down to a lower RPM. That way you know for sure that the water is not going to be cloudy when you have it set. So I usually start all my customers at 2600 or 2800 RPMs depending on the pool size. I run that for 8 or 10 hours, and then I gradually taper that down. And I also program at a low speed at about 1800 RPMs to run most of the other time when it's not running on the higher speed. And that way you can see if your runtime is set accordingly so that it doesn't cause the cloudy pool water. If you have a single speed pump, you definitely want to run your pool a longer amount of time. If you notice the water is cloudy, definitely boost up the runtime, and that should take care of it. Runtime is a crucial factor in keeping your pool from getting cloudy water besides the chlorine. So if you notice that your chlorine level is fine but the water is cloudy, or maybe the pool's having trouble holding chlorine, it may be because you're not running your pool long enough for the chlorine to circulate to the pool to be effective. This is really common in a saltwater pool when you have the saltwater generator not really working effectively because you're not running the pool long enough to allow the saltwater generator to produce the chlorine for your pool. So runtime and the chlorine level go hand in hand in the cloudy water issue. And it's also very common for cloudy water to appear after you use your pool, especially if you have a party or if you have a large bather load, or if you have animals like dogs swimming in the pool. I guess dogs would probably be the only animal that would swim in the pool, and I haven't seen any cats in there. So if you have dogs that swim in your pool, or if you have a party, chances are after the party, you're going to see that the water is cloudy. This is due to the heavy bather load, the suntan lotion, the sweat, everything coming off someone's body, and also your pet into the pool will cause that water to become murky. Again, the solution is pretty easy. You want to bring your chlorine level back up and run your pool a long time, and that will usually clear it up. So if you have a big pool party, go ahead and just let your pool run the rest of the night all the way through the next day, and I would definitely add some chlorine to the pool. You can test your water, and I would gather that there's probably some combined chlorine in the pool. This is when all the contaminants combine with the stuff in the water and make the chlorine less effective. And if your pool has a high combined chlorine level, you also will smell like an ammonia, Windex type smell coming from the water. This means that you definitely have combined chlorine, and then bringing the pool to a shock level with chlorine and running the pool 24 to 48 hours will usually cure the combined chlorine that's in your pool. Another very common cause of the cloudy pool water is a D filter that has some problems with the elements or the grids inside the filter. So basically, the diatomaceous earth is a fine white powder, and if the diatomaceous earth gets back into the pool, it'll make the water extremely cloudy. And so if you have a diatomaceous earth filter and you notice a fine white dust on the bottom, usually it settles on the bottom and the pool isn't quite as cloudy. But then when the pool turns on the next day, the water definitely could be cloudy again. So you definitely want to check your filter to make sure that the grids are intact, the manifolds are intact, the diatomaceous earth isn't being shot back into the pool through the return lines. A good way, of course, to check this again is this: you'll notice a powder all over the pool, and that's a good indication that the diatomaceous earth is going back into the pool. And this is a very common problem with diatomaceous earth filters because you don't know when the grid's going to crack and let the DE back into the pool. So keep an eye on it if you have a diatomaceous earth filter, DE filter, to make sure that everything is working and functioning properly. Otherwise, it could definitely cause the cloudy pool water. And in the same respect, if you have a poorly running filter, if you have an old sand filter, you haven't changed the sand in a while, or if you have a cartridge filter that you haven't changed the cartridge in a while, definitely that could cause the poor filtration, which could cause the cloudy water. I notice this a lot with the single bullet cartridge filters. If you're running it with an old cartridge in there, the pool would be definitely very cloudy. And as soon as you change out that cartridge, or if you have a four type cartridge filter or 4 cartridges in your filter, as soon as you change out the cartridges, you're going to notice a dramatic improvement in the pool's filtration. I guess in the same respect, a lot of times I'll take on a new account and I'll see that the water is really cloudy. I'll go back to the DE filter, and a lot of times the customer forgets to add diatomaceous earth to a DE filter, so that also causes cloudy water. So make sure you recharge your diatomaceous earth filter after cleaning it or backwashing it for sure. So I've covered the fact that the pool could have no chlorine in it or combined chlorine. It could also be the runtime of the pool causing the problem, or it could also be a filtration system that's not working. Another problem that I've also noticed is if your pump is not working properly, this could also contribute to cloudy water. So if you have any kind of leaks in the system, air is getting in there, the pump is not pulling the water at a good pace, this could definitely cause the cloudy water problem also. So make sure that your pool's pump system is working fine and effectively. Sometimes debris will get into the impeller of the pump. You may not even notice it, and the pump's not running at the right speed, and this could also cause the cloudy water. So you kind of have to work the steps and go backwards. Start, of course, by checking the water chemistry and going from there to see what would be causing the cloudy water. Sometimes the chemicals that you actually add to the pool will cause cloudy water. For example, if you put a bag of Cal Hypo directly into your pool, there's a good chance that it's going to cause the water to be cloudy, and it may be cloudy for quite some time. Sometimes, depending on the water temperature, the dust of the Cal Hypo product won't dissolve fully, and so it's going to be stirred up constantly in the water as you're using your pool. And until you manually vacuum out that dust, the pool could be cloudy for quite a period of time. And if you are adding 2 or 3 bags of the Cal Hypo directly into your pool, this could make it cloudy for quite a long time. So just be aware that the Cal Hypo product can make your pool cloudy if you introduce it into the water. Also, if you're adding any kind of base to bring up the pH or alkalinity, this can also definitely make the water cloudy when you introduce this to the water. And sometimes if you have really high calcium levels in your pool and you add soda ash to your pool, this could cause a reaction and make it extremely cloudy for a very long time. So whenever you're adding anything that will raise the pH or alkalinity up in your pool, there's a good chance it'll make your pool water cloudy. I suggest introducing that directly into the skimmer with the pool running, and this could definitely help reduce the amount of product going back into the pool directly and reduce the amount of cloudiness in the water. Some of it may still go right through the return line, but it's definitely not going to be a huge amount. And a lot of times if you put a lot of base in the pool, several pounds of it, it definitely will stay on the surface of the pool and then be stirred up all the time whenever you use the pool. So it's a good idea to manually vacuum all of that out of the pool. And again, this will definitely cause the water to be cloudy. Adding certain chemicals like Cal Hypo or base to bring up the alkalinity and pH will also make the water cloudy. There also may be a number of reasons why your pool is having trouble holding chlorine, making the pool cloudy. If you have really high cyanuric acid levels, 200, 300 parts per million of cyanuric acid, this will make the chlorine a lot less effective in the pool, meaning you have to add a lot more chlorine in your pool. And so if you're not adding a higher dosage of chlorine, the chlorine could be zeroing out every week, causing the cloudy pool water. You could also have a problem with high phosphates in the pool, which means that the chlorine is working a lot harder and not as effective as it's trying to fight the algae in the pool. This can definitely cause the cloudy pool water. And I think it's a combination of a lot of things that can cause chronic cloudy pool water. So for instance, if you have really high phosphates in the pool, or maybe you have nitrates in the water, and you're trying to chlorinate the pool but it's not holding, this kind of allows algae to develop in the pool, And so you're brushing the algae and fighting that also, and you're adding more chlorine, and then the algae and all the organics are going into the filter, clogging up the filter, making the filter less effective. And so this is kind of snowballing into a problem, and the cloudy water is going to just be a consistent problem until you get a handle on the phosphate level or the nitrates in the pool, which are hard to do with the nitrates. I could probably do a separate podcast on that. But unless you get a handle on the algae that's growing in your pool, the chlorine's not going to hold in the pool, and therefore the filter's going to work harder. There's going to be a lot more algae and organics in the filter, meaning it's not going to be effective. And so the chlorine's not going to hold in the pool, and then you have this kind of cycle, and then the pool water is cloudy because of this reason. So you have to break the cycle somewhere. There's different ways of doing this to break it. You can add a Pool RX product to the pool, which is really effective in helping the chlorine work better. You can definitely use the phosphate remover, and the phosphate remover will definitely help with the algae problem and thereby allow the chlorine to be more effective, and then the filtration will work a lot better. Of course, cleaning the filter, getting all the dead algae out of the filter is one step you have to do also. So you can see that the cloudy pool situation, once you find the problem, solving it is another whole issue also on top of it. So if you're again having problems with the chlorine not holding and zeroing out, you have to figure out why is it zeroing out. Is it because of the poor filtration of the pool, or is it because of the algae in the pool, or microalgae, or is it because of the high cyanuric acid level in the pool, or conditioner level as they call it also. So these are all factors that can contribute to the cloudy water problem. And then of course you add the runtime of the pool. If your pool is struggling with not holding chlorine, and also struggling with the fact that the filtration is not working effectively, running the pool longer will definitely help. So you have to add some runtime to the pool to improve it. So solving it sometimes is not as easy as identifying why it's cloudy. So that's why I'm letting you know this right now, so that you kind of get an idea that these things kind of stack on top of each other, making the pool cloudy. So you'll have to do something to eliminate one of the variables that's causing the cloudy pool water for the whole pool to improve as a whole unit. So all these things are kind of tied together: the chlorine level, the runtime, and the filtration. And so if any of these things are affected by something, it definitely will cause the pool to have the cloudy water, and it may be a continuous cycle of cloudy water over the period of the whole pool season if you don't get a handle on it. So I run into this occasionally in the field where I take over a pool and it's either a phosphate problem or sometimes even a nitrate problem, and I'm putting a ton of chlorine in the pool and it's still not holding. I'll give you an example. There was a pool that was about 25,000 gallons and it kept zeroing out every week, getting algae. So what I did is I superchlorinated it one day. I put 8 gallons of liquid chlorine in there, and then I let the pool run for 24 hours. And then I went back the very next day and put another 8 gallons in there. And then I dropped the black Pool RX unit in the pump basket. And this really helped move the needle by superchlorinating it 2 days in a row and then adding the Pool RX in there. It was a pretty extreme case, but I was able to get it to hold chlorine, and now it's fine. So whatever was in there causing the problem, obviously having the high chlorine in there for that period of time, and plus putting the Pool RX in there, solved that problem. So it's not always cut and dry, and it's not always going to be a quick recovery for a cloudy pool. So just kind of go through the steps and check everything that I mentioned in this podcast, from the chlorine level to the filtration system. And if you have to replace your filter elements or your filter entirely to kind of help with that equation, I definitely recommend doing that. If you're dealing with a cloudy pool every season, or maybe the whole season long the year before, definitely consider that it's probably your filtration system, or maybe it's the water itself. You have to drain the whole entire pool and put fresh water in because your cyanuric level is too high, or you have nitrates in there, or the water has a lot of total dissolved solids in there, causing the water to have kind of weird reactions. So this could be a factor too. So sometimes a complete drain is necessary. Sometimes replacing the filter is necessary to get things back in order. But one thing or another has to be changed in order for the cloudy pool to be cleared up. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with the cloudy pool, that again, it may not just be something very simple. It may be a process you have to go through, and you may have to replace some equipment or drain the pool entirely. And last, I think you should not be swimming in a pool that has cloudy water, because chances are the chlorine is not effective in there, the filtration is not effective, and you can get pretty sick in a cloudy pool, swimming in a cloudy pool. Definitely do not recommend going into a cloudy pool and swimming and ingesting water in there, because again, it's probably hazardous to your health, and I would not swim in a pool that has cloudy water. With that said, if you are having a cloudy water problem and you can't get a handle on it, you can definitely email me at david@swimmingpoollearning.com, and I'll be able to help you out there directly. You can also go to my website, and I have some web pages on cloudy pool water and algae treatment. If you're fighting a green pool, chances are right after you clear it up, the pool's going to be cloudy for a week or two after that, and that's perfectly normal to expect that to happen right after you clean up a green pool, because you have a lot of organics in the water. So don't expect the pool that's green to be crystal clear blue within a week. It may take 10 days or 2 weeks for it to clear up, and that's perfectly normal. So I have those resources available at my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. And if you do service for a living and you want to enhance your business, or you just want to grow it, you may want to consider my coaching program. You can learn more about that at poolguycoaching.com. And for $10 a month, you can text me. And for $20 a month, you can call me in real time. I can help you out with those problems you may have on your pool route. And you can learn about my coaching program at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. Leslie's Pool Supplies has been do-it-yourselfers and pool trade professionals' trusted partner since 1963, providing quality products and services to make pool care easy, and solutions and expertise to do it right.